So now we'll have 4. All right, we can get started. 4:07, we're opening up with fire prevention officer. So I don't know who wants to start out of all of you.
We gotta get recorded, so we gotta get the mics near us.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Finance Committee. So I know this is the last meeting where we're going over the budget. We just wanted to give one last push for possible inclusion of the fire safety officer, and if not this year, just to kind of have a discussion about its importance for maybe in the next year's budget, we could have something in there, but we're just gonna give one last push for this year. Have with us a representative from Leominster, Sidlow?
Yes,
Robert?
Yep, Robert Sidlow.
Robert Sidlow. So, Robert has a lot of experience in fire prevention, safety, inspection, and Chief Lutz just asked him to come today just to speak for a few brief minutes just on the importance, especially kind of with the situations Clinton's in, where we do have a lot of relatively new construction, new apartments, new condos, which is adding to the workload of inspection, and we're kind of having a tough time staying on top of it, and this position would help to alleviate some of that workload, and at the same time allow Mike to have more hours in the week to focus just on running the fire station. So with that, I will let you just speak for a couple minutes if you don't mind.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
not at all, thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to come. Known Mike for a long time. I used to do inspections in Leominster when he was putting in oil burners and stuff, so I've got to, see his work and approve it or disapprove it. So a little bit about me is I've been on the fire department since the early 80s. In 1990, early 90s, I became a lieutenant, and I was assigned to fire prevention as a full-time fire lieutenant. And in that role, I was fire prevention officer. At the time, we had one deputy fire chief and one lieutenant in there. And I basically, on a day-to-day, my day-to-day job business was I would go out and do smoke detector inspections, oil burner inspections, fire investigations, plans review, new construction, complaints, fire prevention follow-up, education, the schools, elderly education, fire prevention. But I also was a fire lieutenant that while I was working during the day or would get called in at night, I was a fully trained fire lieutenant that I would go to the fire and be an extra set of hands and an extra set of eyes for the officer that was running the fire, either the fire chief or the deputy chief. A big thing that evolved from the 90s until now is they call them safety officers. Because of the danger of the job, the equipment we wear, we're in buildings that are very dangerous, is safety. So I had multiple functions when I was doing that. I was a deputy chief, and then I became chief of department. I've been doing that for 15 years. So in my office is the fire prevention office and the wire department and its fire alarm division. And on a daily basis, I work with my fire prevention officers, inspectors. And in Leominster, I have 3 of them. I have a deputy fire chief, I have a fire lieutenant, and I have a firefighter. And daily, we are talking about problems that we have in the city or inspections they're doing. And through my experience or helping them look up stuff in the code or reaching out to the other departments, we're able to provide a service to the city that I feel is very good, second to none. Because it's very complex, fire prevention. Our code has evolved over the years to it's a manual of small print about that big, and it talks about anything from fireworks to smoke detectors to fire investigations. So I have, not good working knowledge of it and experience. What we did in Leominster in the last 4 years or so is when we moved to our headquarters, we were able to add not only the fire prevention officers, but we have a full-time day deputy chief that's a EMS officer and a training supervisor. We have a lieutenant that's in there as training and as assistant, and I have full-time IT. I'm blessed because I have a lot of staff. But the reason that we have it is, and I'm sure you know the mayor, he's very business oriented. He does not like to add positions or have waste in government. And we were able to show him, work with him, and prove that having more of a day staff that was multifunctional, that could do fire prevention, that could do EMS paperwork, that could deal with the state, that it was so much more beneficial to the city that what we were providing for service was, again, I say, second to none. Obviously, there's others out there that do it as good, if not better. So in this last 4 years is we've actually renamed ourselves the Health, Safety, and Welfare Division instead of the old-fashioned fire prevention and training. And our motto is that everything that we do on a daily basis is for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Leominster, the businesses of Leominster, and then the firefighters of Leominster, obviously. So I wanna say that it works fabulous. And then when I talk to Mike and I talk to other chiefs in the area, is they struggle with trying to get the important things done that I'm able to get with our creativity of how we've done things. And on the chief side is, everybody, when you're in the lower ranks as a deputy chief, you don't realize what needs to get done during the day until you're actually in that position. And what's happened over the last few years too is we've become an OSHA state. So now the fire chief is mandated to make sure we have our training standards, our record keepings, our equipment up to OSHA. Before that, we just had to get to the NFPA standard, but there really was no governance of it. Only if someone got hurt and you weren't up to the standard, would they call you on the carpet. Now you're under OSHA. OSHA can come in at any time. There's the buying of the equipment. There's the training. EMS, and especially since COVID, is gone through the roof. There's mental health. A lot of mental health and substance abuse that I know Clinton deals with just like us. That we have as fire chiefs, we have to spend a lot of time and energy to make sure that the people that we deal with on our calls, that we're getting them help following through, making sure that we're working with the police department and other agencies, elderly follow-up, veterans. So the old firefighter, fire prevention, go into schools, give a talk, and maybe have an inspection manual that big has drastically changed over the years. So just to finish up, I get kind of long-winded. I'm here, I came down to support the chief, this is a very, very important role, that if you're able to do something, it would allow the chief to work on the functions of the fire department that he should be working on, the planning and all those other items I talked about. He would have another person that if there is a fire during the day, there's that fire prevention officer that would be able to respond to the emergencies that, in this day and age during the weekdays there's no more call departments. Although communities have them, they're not staffed with many people. They can't leave work like they used to. So I'm here to support them, answer any questions. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I apologize, sometimes getting a little long-winded. But there's there's many things I could talk about, I'll answer any questions.
No, thank you for coming to and speaking to this. I think it's helpful. I don't have any questions really related to what you talked about, but I don't know if anyone else does.
Not me.
Did you pull this together, or?
Myself and PJ did, and then the other
Okay.
numbers, did you give me the other ones that I had?
No, I thought all the numbers were included.
No, they're not.
So it sounds like
It's my
Lemons,
fault. I'm sorry, Ed.
It's a-
I gave another, that one, PJ was working on one side getting numbers, and then I just got numbers from Lemonster and
Yeah.
from the ones that responded, so.
So it's-
So there's two sheets there, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah. So it sounds like Lemonster obviously has this position, and then listed here are other communities. I'll skip Lunenburg because it looks like it's a stipend, but Maynard, Northborough, Shrewsbury, Westborough also have, oh no, Maynard.
Find it there.
So Marlborough, Northborough, Shrewsbury, Westborough.
And then I got Sterling, Lemonster's numbers, Devon's numbers. I think I got 7 different communities. I
Do-
don't read them.
So do either of you know, because I'm not trying to minimize, obviously, the training that goes into this position at all, but is there a market where you could, because I know, like Lunenburg has $15 stipend, is there a market where we could put some sort of money aside and either contract somebody to come in and do it, or offer it to current staff as like, pick up 4 hours here and do some inspections?
4 hours here, 4 hours there is not gonna touch the workload we have. Not gonna touch it. It's not.
4 hours here, 4 hours there every
Nothing.
day is,
There's
you
nothing.
know.
There's nothing. I'm one, right now on my desk, I'm a year behind in inspections. On just because I go to all the oil burner inspections and I fail every one of them because they're not doing it to code. And then I gotta wait until they get back, and then they don't get back to me, and then they just kinda get shuffled into the pot. And then plans come in for all the properties all over Clinton that are being built. Now I'm gonna get sets of plans for Wendy's, the bank, the gas station. I gotta try to, we just had an incident just recently down here at Oxford Court. I went into meetings with Oxford Court Apartments. Sat down, had meetings and meetings. We agreed on everything. The plans came in. I didn't review them, I didn't have time. I assumed, there was my problem right there. I assumed that what we verbally agreed on was correct. We went to inspect it, it was completely wrong. So now we're in a big tussle with them because I just didn't have the time. I put all the times into the meetings, didn't review the plans. Shame on me, I got caught.
So I think that these are much bigger communities than Clinton, though. Would you agree? Lemonster, Northborough, Shrewsbury, Westborough?
Northborough's not, Shrewsbury's not, they're close. Maynard's probably are close, but Maynard's in the struggle we're having, trying to get it to going.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Sorry. I don't mean to compare us to Clinton when I, talk about my department. The fire prevention officer, it's like the town of Clinton, if the chief was to bring someone in on a overtime basis, not all the, you gotta have like one person that's consistent and that can spend the time to know the codes. It's not bringing a person on to put on a fire truck that he does every day. So, no, I know in Leominster, we've done stuff where the mayor, we brought an idea to the mayor and he's done it on overtime. And, we've like adding another ambulance or something. The difference with the fire prevention is it's a unique position that you kind of need consistency, and you need one person that's going to be good at it. And it's almost going to be someone that's their passion. I know some of the others, there's a gentleman here that he's a fire prevention officer, which I'm assuming Aaron Clinton are pretty good in size, and it's his passion, and he does a very good job. But it takes a lot of reading and taking courses and to excel in it.
So what about like contracting out? Can you contract out the so say like the Wendy's gas station, everything that's going up there, is there a market to contract somebody else to do that? outside of the town, like through our budget, but outside of your department?
I've never experienced that or heard of that. There is a thing in the building code that if it's a big project, you can have the developer pay for an engineer to oversee it for the town.
How big of a project are you talking about? But that's one of the things I'm
Yeah, so
thinking.
that's in the building code, and I honestly, I don't want to speak out of school, but I know like if we're doing a school or a big project, you know, they're big ones, then the city has made the company pay for a review process. There's a term to it,
Third party
yeah.
review.
A lot of things you discussed already what the mayor's making you do. You know, I don't think we're big enough to do all the things that you're talking about. The mayor needs this person, that person.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, and we're responsible really for financing, okay?
Yeah.
But we're certainly not trying to cut it down. I think it's very important. But the thing is, I'm concerned about, not actually in this order of importance, but the liability, the cost, why not hire out, which was already brought up. Now, we already have a lack of firefighters already, okay? We're behind already. So if we're gonna move someone up there, we have to hire someone else, which we're having problems hiring already.
But I'm in the process right now, I've already just hired 4.
I know that, but I'm just saying, these are things that go through my mind, and I don't know about anybody else. I'm not even sure why the town of Clinton should be paying for these bigger projects. When the owner owns the property, he's liable for the property, and we should get him to say that, yes, I'll hire someone that'll go out and do this. Give the town of Clinton a document, and then we have to write something out saying that, okay, now it meets. But if not, we send someone out to do that. We're gonna go for occupancy, we're saying everything's up to snuff, and the town of Clinton is taking the liability. So I'm concerned about a lot of things.
So when someone's building a project, it falls under the building code, and it's the building inspector that's responsible for all the plans review. Out of a courtesy, they have the fire chief review it to make sure it has that. Once the building is built, then it falls under the fire prevention, because the fire prevention is a maintenance code. So if a big apartment is built and it's required to have sprinklers, fire alarm system, then it requires annually or semi-annually is the fire inspectors to do a walkthrough or to make sure the sprinklers have been tested. So
Fire inspector from the town or
from the
city?
town, from the town,
So
yeah.
how do we-
So the state doesn't get involved in anything. They're a resource for us when we come to a dead end. And to be honest, it's, a lot of times they put it right back on their own town.
How do we get the money to do this? Taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's.
So the taxes up to snuff now, to pay
Sure.
$125,000 for one person plus the
Well-
overhead plus, I don't know if it is
Well,
enough.
here's what I think. First of all, I never thought that a fire prevention service was unnecessary.
It's not. You mean-
I never thought it was unnecessary. In all the prior years, up until today, it's been the fire chief's responsibility. And they have been able to meet that responsibility. So now the chief says that it's just gotten to the point that he can't meet the responsibility. So I don't know whether that's true or not, but giving him the benefit of the doubt, I do have to admit that there's a lot of construction going on. So I'm not utterly opposed to a fire safety position. What I am opposed to is that it be $125,000 and the deputy chief, and thus requiring us to hire another captain. We had it in the budget last year for $70,000. I don't know what you want to do this year.
So Michael, that being said, did you guys all see the cost matrix that I put up?
As part of your budget?
No. The paperwork that I gave to Michael.
We didn't receive anything outside of like the budget
We
package.
got the budget package and we got
I
this.
gave you the cost matrix, I thought they got it all. the matrix of where I showed, no, so let me just give you a real brief, and then I can get it to you. So the $70,000 that was approved in the last budget that didn't get used is, we'll just say for argument's sake, it's still there. So now you take the difference of the deputy's pay to what, the 125, and then you take that dollar value away from the 70,000. Then you drop down and you do the difference of taking a top step firefighter, moving him to a captain, and you take the balance. And then you drop it down to a firefighter. You would have to fund, and I don't have it in front of me, I think I can pull it on my phone, but I'm not positive. But anyway, you can, it's about $30,000 is what we're looking for, to fund it at 125,000. 30,000, 34.
I think Matt was trying to speak to this in our subcommittee meeting. We didn't see it.
But that's only one position, now we have to hire someone else.
No, that's all the positions.
We're not gonna have to hire.
You're creating a
one
new
person.
captain, chief.
We don't have.
What's that?
You're creating a new captain's position.
I'm taking a deputy, moving him up and just adding another captain. So I'm just, the position's there, instead of it being a deputy, it's just gonna be captain. So you have 4 floor captains, and then the deputy would be the.
That's an extra captain.
Yeah, but the difference in pay, Michael, is what I'm trying to say, is about $30,000.
I don't believe that at all.
Well, I'll get you the
And
paperwork and
I'll
show
tell
it.
you, I'll tell you what else I'm uncomfortable with. I'll tell you what I think. I think this is an attempt to get the deputy chief $125,000.
No, this is an attempt, Michael, to get the burden off of my shoulders. so
I
can do
told you
my
what I
job.
think it is,
That's fine,
Chief.
Michael, and you're welcome
It's
to
an
that.
attempt to get your friend a big job.
No, not my friend. It's an attempt to get me help, is what it
And
is.
I'll tell you something else while I'm on my high
Go ahead.
Wait till next year, when they require a $100,000 vehicle for this guy. Because you know the motto of Clinton, come work for us, we'll pay you $100,000 and
We
buy
have
you
a
a
pickup
vehicle.
truck that can do that. We own one.
So, I mean, I have no opposition to some sort of fire prevention officer, though I am skeptical. But $125,000, and it's a foregone conclusion that it's the deputy chief. I am absolutely opposed to that. I mean, if they want to go to the personnel board and draw up a job description and create a position, fine. But to just, here's my buddy, give him $125,000 and hire another captain, that's irresponsible.
So can I speak to a couple things, Madam Chair? So I'm not gonna go as far as say I agree with you, Mike, but I am kind of leaning towards your side when I've had these conversations, because my whole thing was, I was sold on the fact that this position needs to be devoted to fire inspection only. And I'm leery of merging that responsibility in with a deputy chief. That being said, I don't think that I know we haven't had a lot of time to do a lot of big formal research on this, but what the chief is asking for deputy chiefs that have this responsibility does seem to be reflected in some other communities. So in Northborough and Shrewsbury, I know that Shrewsbury is a little bit closer to us, but I know that those towns may be bigger than Clinton, but the deputy chief / fire prevention officer in Northborough is $119,000. The deputy chief fire prevention officer in Shrewsbury is $141,000. So even though I'm not really advocating that we go down that path, I don't think that the request is out of what the market going rate is for that position if you are a deputy chief. The other thing I just wanted to talk about real quickly is if there's a possibility for a compromise where we have the 70,000 on one end, we have the 120,000 on the other. And is there a spot in between where we can come to an agreement on a position that would still satisfy the day-to-day responsibilities of a fire prevention officer? So and like I said, I know we're under the gun to try to get this information, so we did the best that we could, but I'm gonna just share with you guys some other communities here that were shared with me that are not on this list that I think are more comparable to Clinton. So Air, their fire prevention officer is $88,000. Sterling is $108,000. West Boylston is $87,000. And Devon's the fire prevention officer, who's also a firefighter, his salary is $88,000. So without doing any sort of formal analysis, my ask to the finance committee would be to fund this position at $100,000 and then try to find somebody that can fill that position solely without having to be a deputy chief or another role. And we did inquire with town council about the ability of Clinton to look at other communities for this, so we're not forced to have to promote from within. I'm still waiting on a definite answer, but the immediate answer that I got from Attorney Gibbons, because he knows we have this meeting tonight, was that we would be confined to stay in civil service, but that should not prevent us from being able to have a lateral move from another community. For example, if somebody from Leominster that had the credentials saw this job posting for $100,000 and had interest in taking it, there should be a way, even in the confines of civil service, for that to happen. So I guess my only ask would just be as maybe a compromise between the 70 or the 0, kind of where we're at currently, and the 120 that was the initial request, if we could possibly fund $100,000 and try to find somebody that could fill that role for this year. That's my request to the board.
Okay.
So one thing, just for quick clarification, the
Sure.
number that Ed gave for Devon's, he gave the firefighter salary, $88,759. The deputy also does full-time fire prevention in Devon's for $130,819.
Right.
So they have 2 positions over there that they do.
Right.
But the deputy isn't doing the inspections full-time.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
All right.
Two people.
Well, here's what I have to say. Just one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
At some point in time, we've heard from you people, and we have to make a decision as a board. So at some point in time, we have to cut this off and go ahead and discuss it. Now, I don't know if now is the time, but I just looking forward to getting out of here at a reasonable hour.
Mike?
I'm sorry. I just want to say one thing. I would not be here if I knew that he was trying to get someone a pay increase, like, a deputy, move him up, which honestly, I would not be here. But I do agree that, he might get mad at me, that it doesn't have to start off as a deputy chief. It doesn't never have to make the deputy chief's rank. It needs some type of rank, because in my experience of all my years is when you're dealing with the absentee landlords and you're dealing with the good people are going to take care of their properties and they're going to do what you ask them to do. It's the ones that have illegal apartments that you have to deal with in the court system and stuff, is a lot of times is the rank of a captain or a lieutenant goes a long way. So I would, if there's a compromise like he's saying is, I agree with you. Maybe Clinton's not ready for a deputy chief to do it right now. The other thing is the liability is, in our world, we read a lot about what's going on in the country and stuff. And right now, there's a widow that's suing a town, and her husband was a firefighter, died in the line of duty, and she's got all of these things that the town didn't provide, inspections of the water system and all of this stuff. So we live in a crazy time. Sometimes it's cheaper to pay for the position, and you get much more benefit than it is to put yourself out for liability. And I'm by no means I'm not lecturing, I'm just,
I understand.
you started talking freely, and that's kind of the world I live in. So I just kind of wanted to, have that same type of conversation with you.
Chief, let me say this, I said it in the last 2 meetings also.
Yeah.
The onus is on the contractor. You apply for a permit, you do it, it doesn't work, you send them home, your fire inspector. You don't have to nursemaid these people as they're doing it. And that's what's happening. This is all clustering in to a fire inspector full-time. We don't need one, we need a safety officer hired by the contractor. not by the fire chief or the town. It's, the onus is on the contractor. And that's what you have to do.
But we're talking also, Bob, about after that building is taken over by the, it's accepted, it's out of the, now it's on our code.
No.
Yes, it is.
It's on your code, yes, but next month you could say, we want you to inspect our building again. Their building again.
No, the fire code is CMR 1/527, is delegated in Massachusetts under the Massachusetts law that the state fire marshal delegates the authority to the fire chief of each community, that delegates it to his officers or whatever, which we have to have all written documentation. So that's enforcing CMR 1/527 and Massachusetts Chapter 148. That is all going to be done by the fire chief in the town.
And with all due respect to that logic, I think you could use that logic, you could back your way out of having to not have a building inspector. If the argument is that the onus is all on the people making the building to do all the inspections, I mean, we can't just rely on a report, even if it's a report from a reputable company, if just a piece of paper that says, yeah, the building is checked out, it's okay. But at the end of the day, the town is the one that has to do the inspection themselves and make sure that everything is up to code. So I think we just have to be careful. We can't completely put the onus on the contractor. At some point, the town has to get eyes on these buildings themselves and inspect them and make sure that they are in fact up to code.
So how do we get the owner to pay for some of this?
Well, there's a process in the beginning, right, where the owner, they do have to.
I'd like to know about the process, and how much money is paid, and how we take care of this. That's all.
It's in the building code, you have to ask.
I'm sorry?
It's in the building code, the Massachusetts State Building Code.
So the amount of money that's paid in Leominster takes care of a lot of this?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood your
I'm talking about
question.
Clinton, but I'm talking about, let's go to Leominster. You talk about all the
Yep.
things you do in Leominster. Where does the money come from? Taxes? So in other words, the citizens in Clinton?
Yeah, so in Leominster, they keep the permits fees way down low. We raise money on, we call them the 26F inspection. So when someone sells a house, we're one of the cheapest ones. So the city there, the mayor in Leominster, he decides to do it through the regular budget, which is tax money.
I'm not talking about houses though. I'm talking about commercial that's owned by other people, and they charge every month for people to live there.
Yes, so when you do an inspection there, like a code violation type inspection,
Yes.
that's on the taxpayers paying the fire department's salary. It's like a police officer, you don't charge.
There's no money coming in.
There's no money coming in, it's coming
No,
in.
in Leominster, we raise money from monitoring our fire alarm system, which Clinton does, and through the permit process, which is the building permit, fire department permits, and then fire prevention inspections, which we charge for oil burners and smoke detector
So there's enough
inspections.
money coming in then to do that.
It pays for one position. In Leominster, it pays.
It pays for one
the-
position,
The
though.
rate, the
That's what we're
rates,
looking for, one
the
position.
rates are low, but it still pays for one position. We're probably twice the size of
Yeah.
Clinton, so
Yeah.
if, depending on what your rate system is, the money you bring in would pay for at least half a position or possibly a full position.
Well, I say that we thank these gentlemen for
Yep.
their input and
Yes,
say
thank
that
you
it's
for
time
coming.
for us
No,
to make a
thank you very much for letting me.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It is important.
Good luck.
It is important, yes.
Yeah, oh no, thank you.
All right, so Mike was still working on the budget. I mean, in regards to this position, it's not in the budget currently. So, I mean, I'll just say my opinion on it is I still don't, we can obviously vote it, but my opinion is I still don't want to add it to the budget. And I'm not negating the importance of the position or the need for it, but to be honest with you, thanks, Bob.
Maybe.
There- The communities that were given as examples are much bigger than Clinton. And I'm still struggling with, I mean, we just implemented an ALS program last year and we haven't hired one single paramedic. So we keep adding money to this department and not seeing not seeing, the money that we're adding to it actually be used for what we're approving, is what I'm struggling with.
I watched a pickup truck with fire department on it go from the fire station over across from the Sunoco station 6 times one day. They go over and check it, doesn't work, they go back, they call them again, they go over. That should be our problem. It
Yeah,
should
but we
be-
can't help that. I feel like we can't help how they're running their department.
Yeah.
Or how they're taking these calls.
See, I mean, I think that the town needs to have an inspection process and has to have someone working for the town doing the inspections. Because if you work for the landlord and you're doing the inspections, you're going to do whatever the landlord tells you to do. And if he tells you, you should tell the fire department that it's safe, that's what he's gonna do. You have to have independent verification. So,
What are everyone's thoughts on meeting, like Ed's proposal of meeting at 100K or?
I wouldn't meet at 100K, I would meet at, because, I mean, when they read off the thing, nobody read off Lunenburg $1,500 stipend.
Stipend, that's-
Nobody read that off.
I know. Well, that's why I was asking if they could provide, if we could, so, and not to, like, the same way we did the parking person, which I get it, this is a very different position, but could we have some sort of stipend to almost even like catch up on if the chief is behind on inspections?
Why am I wrong trying to say that the owner of the building should be paying for this, because he's gonna be paid monthly for having people live there, okay? Why does the town of Clinton have to come up and find the taxpayers and everybody to pay for this?
It sounds like that's just the way that every community works,
Yeah, well, maybe they're richer than us, I don't know.
but I don't think.
All right, okay.
I mean, maybe I'm a communist, I don't know. But I would not want to live in a building that the fire safety was determined by an employee of the owner of the building.
Okay,
Because I will tell you what, I think that they would skip on the safety of the building.
but how about the owner paying for some of this instead of saying it's the liability of the town to pay for it?
Who, what's that?
How about the owner paying for a lot of this for the inspection, not necessarily have,
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, whoever pays, that's who you're listening to. I mean, you know, then speak,
Okay.
just, it's another area, but Conservation Commission,
Mike, did you print a budget already?
Yes.
Oh, you just handed this to me?
Yeah.
All right. No, we might change it.
so,
So what would you think, Mike, for a dog, like what salary would you be comfortable at if you were to fund that position?
what was theirs? Oh, they didn't give us that.
80.
Theirs was 80?
I was trying to write it down quickly, yes.
Because air is, I would say, similar to us.
Air and Sterling
say
was,
that?
Air and Sterling were in the 80s.
I mean, if we would fund it, I would fund it in the 80s. But if you decide not to fund it and put it off till next year, where we get I mean, here's one of the things I would say. We get a proposal for $125,000 and name the deputy chief, and not a bit of backup documentation. And then
Until
all
we
of a
push
sudden,
back.
when it almost is gonna go down the tube, then all of a sudden, there's all this documentation.
Agree.
So it's not like they couldn't have done it, it's just that they didn't want to do it.
Right.
So I'm open to any option, but if I were to fund it, it would be in the 80s.
Okay. What about Bob and Paul? What are your thoughts on it?
well, I think we need someone to go, if we're that far behind, and I don't know how we got so far behind, but we're that back behind, and everybody's saying we have a lot of liability on our hands, we have to do something.
Okay.
So, and if the dollars and cents you think are gonna do it, We could start with 80, 90,000, but if we're gonna just be sitting around and kicking the can down, I don't know.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I was thinking if we're going to do it, and again, like, I'm kind of opposed to it still, but I can get convinced to do it. I would do it at probably 85,000, I would say, based on the numbers that we saw today.
And get ready, and really, get ready for next year, because this guy's gonna need a truck with 15 antennas and this capability and weight. That truck is gonna cost $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
You wait and see.
I might be gone next year. All right,
Oh, no,
so,
you're over here next year.
I don't know, Mike.
Your and Chairman mine are the same, right?
It's been a rough year. Yeah, we got on at the same time.
Right.
Okay, so do you want to walk, let's vote maybe Diane on the stabilization and,
Oh,
Did Michael give you the
Yeah.
list of articles?
yep, so Mike gave us an updated list of
Oh, all right.
articles.
So I believe it's number 9, number 10, number 12.
Where the hell are we?
Yeah, that,
Is this it? Okay.
yeah, the next packet.
All right.
Number 12 and number 13 need to be voted on. I did want to verify that with Michael.
Number
but-
9 we have to vote on?
Well, Michael and I were talking on Friday, and based on the rubbish and water sewer enterprise fiscal year '25 numbers to date, without being able to project the revenue we'll collect in June with the new rates, we could fall short in '25. Now, what we've done in prior years and what Department of Revenue suggests always at every meeting I go to is put some of your retained earnings in for this year, for the present year, in case you have a shortfall, because otherwise you can't get a tax rate set of all. So on Friday, when we were speaking, we said, now that we had free cash certified for the enterprise, let's do that. So those are both to amend the fiscal year '25 enterprise budgets. If they don't need the retained earnings, it just closes out to the next retained earnings. But again, not knowing what they'll collect, they'll be close to make the year without a deficit. And you
Okay.
can't have a deficit in your
Okay.
enterprise.
So that's Article
So that's 9 and 10.
10.
And
Okay.
then 12 is, I don't believe you had the amounts.
We didn't.
For
12 and 13.
for 12 and 13 for the two
Okay.
stabilization funds. So Michael, am I correct that those are the 4 articles they haven't voted yet?
Right.
And you want them to vote them now, or you
Sure.
have, it
Yeah.
has to be at town meeting?
No, I think we could do them now,
Okay.
and then the selectmen are gonna finalize the warrant tomorrow night.
Okay, okay.
So the selectmen have finalized these warrant articles?
Well, they've seen the stabilization and the OPEB one, but they didn't have an amount in until the finance gave a recommendation.
I see, okay.
The other two are just, as the town accountant indicated, the other two are just new that we just kind of came up with this past week, trying to see how the numbers are coming in on the revenue for the FY '25 water and rubbish
Okay.
budget. So
Now-
we feel that those need to be added. But the rest of them, they've seen the rest of them, just.
Okay.
so.
All right, fine. And we did meet with the subcommittee and we did discuss $500,000, that maybe it would be better to put 500,000 as opposed to 750 from free cash, and they seemed okay with that, so
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, so,
We do them individually?
yeah, let's do them individually.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we amend the FY '25 rubbish enterprise fund budget to $175,000. Is that what we want to do?
By adding
By adding
175 of retained earnings.
$175,000.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, Article 10.
Madam Chairman, I move that we amend the FY 2025 water and sewer and enterprise fund budget by increasing it to $150,000. Right?
Make that motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 12, the health insurance trust fund.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we fund the health insurance trust fund article in the amount of $150,000.
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, Article 13.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we fund the stabilization fund for FY 2025 at 500, that we add $500,000 to the stabilization fund in 2025.
Second.
Second it.
All in favor of that?
it.
Aye.
All right. Perfect.
And the last is the Article 27, which, not to be voted on tonight, but that's the fire contract that we're still in negotiations. So if we settle, selectmen are discussing it tomorrow night, so if we settle, then this finance will just need to make a recommendation the night of the town.
All right, yes,
So I
yeah.
think usually the town accountant usually posts a meeting for about half hour before, just in case there's any last minute business, so.
Are you hopeful that there will be an agreement?
We're pretty close. Yeah, there's
Okay.
one issue that's holding it up, so we'll see tomorrow night.
Okay.
And what else is there?
That's
Get back to the
budget.
fire position.
Budget.
Does personnel have to make that position first of all?
I don't think so, because it's in the union, right?
So personnel they don't have to get involved in this at all? So once we vote on it and say, okay, create it, and they create it, then it's pretty much from now until whenever?
Yeah. That's what we did last year. I mean, we funded it last year at 70, and then they just didn't hire anybody.
But if they did, once we created that,
Yeah.
then they're gonna have to say they want more money than whatever we come up with, and they want more money next year.
Maybe.
Yeah, they could definitely say they want more money next year.
And Will,
Yeah.
Michael, let me ask you, I mean, you're the supervisor of the fire chief, do you think we need this position, and how much should it be funded at?
Well, I don't know the funding, because I don't know what the going rate is in the area. Some departments will have a captain, will also do fire prevention duties.
Don't we, I mean,
Some will have a firefighter do those duties. Cities have them, bigger communities would have an individual person who would focus on that. There's still gonna be, I assume, if it's part of the union, they would still be firefighters, but their primary duty would be doing inspections.
Didn't firefighters and fire captains used to do some of the inspections? Because I'll tell you what, a friend of mine moved into a relatively new house, and when the boiler inspection was done by a firefighter,
Right.
not by a fire captain, not by the deputy chief, not by the chief, by a firefighter.
Right, and I think if they're qualified, that they do the boiler inspections or the smoke detector inspections. The big ones are the plans, so I think the sprinkler plans and the big development plans that the chief would do. But again, I'm not sure how many are certified to do inspections, but I don't think it's limited to one certain
Is it,
person.
well, is it limited to one person now? So when the chief tells us he's got all these inspections, are other people doing inspections?
I would have to check with the chief. I thought that they were doing like a smoke detector. I
Yeah.
don't think the chief is doing like every smoke detector or every boiler.
Okay.
I think there are some inspections. that
Okay.
I think it's more of the code inspections and more of the plan reviews and developments and those type of things, so. But I think a lot of departments do have it, and, it may even be further discussion. We are looking into operations operations down there, and, you know, some of the recommendations that, you know, again, most departments would have a management-style chief, a management-style deputy, and a administrative assistant, you know, which are all management-type positions
Right.
that are running the department, where all of there's no administrative assistant, and all of the other positions are all union, so the chief is really the only one in that department that's non-union. And then fire inspection would fall, you know, maybe to the deputy, or the chief would do some, the deputy or a captain, so then you could maybe spread it out if you have that setup, but right now, there's only just one that's in management right now, so. And the chief is doing all the clerical and the payroll and processing bills and all that as well too, so, yeah, so I
So
think.
he might have been better off requesting an administrative assistant, so he could
They'll
go
ask,
to inspection.
they'll ask for that next year.
I think that's a valid, I think, concern to look at that maybe again for the future. I think
Yeah.
maybe looking at whether he needs that admin support.
So if we want to add $85,000, I'm so sorry, to this budget for that position, it would, then we would just add another $85,000 to,
Our deficit.
yeah, the,
Well-
2.5 increase line.
Yeah, I think it could put it under taxes under 2.5. I mean, again, the state aid is the state aid, but the other property tax, we're not at a levy limit, so you could add some there if you want to go up. Also, our local receipts are estimates, and we've been trying to be conservative and build up our reserves and fund balance, so we have tried to keep, you know, revenue estimates fairly conservative, so we're not pushing the limit all the time. So if you wanted to say that we'll try to increase revenue that way, you could maybe try to add something in that line as well too. So whether you
Right.
want to add it to the property tax, to local receipts, you know, you would be then saying we're going to increase our revenue estimate to cover this and hope that, which I'm comfortable, you know, you should be okay. But, you know, by doing that every year to try to budget to exact dollar coming in from the year before, then you're really making it tight. Now you're paycheck to paycheck, we've done that in the past, and you're not giving yourself any wiggle room, and the financial markets think that you're running on a shoestring. So, you know, you try to be conservative, but, I mean, based on the position that we've gotten in a good financial situation, you know, I think 80,000 isn't going to break that cycle, so.
Could we still, go ahead.
Excuse me 1 second. Michael, did you check the number for transfers from enterprise funds? Other sources of funding?
I did not double check those after we talked this afternoon, so.
That will increase.
Where is it?
The last page,
Enterprise
transfers from enterprise funds.
Okay,
We
We're on the budget now?
yeah.
we have 15,
That will go up,
yes,
okay.
we'll have some.
What
because
enterprise fund are we
I mean,
talking
we
about?
didn't
It's
change
on the
water,
last
and
page, there's a
water
line item
alone is
called
280,
transfers.
and you
The
have
very last page is a
269,
short page.
650 there. You
It's
have the
called
same
transfers
number
from
as
enterprise
last year.
funds.
Oh,
I would not.
269K.
Necessarily count landfill.
those are transfers from the enterprise funds into the general fund?
So we transfer money, if you look on the wording, if you look at water sewer, that's the best example right now. Where it says in the wording underneath, indirect cost of $280,750 to be raised and appropriated in the general fund. I have a spreadsheet that I do every year, and the enterprise funds transfer into the general fund for different things, but a portion of Michael's salary, my salary, treasurer collector's salary,
Right.
insurances. And those are they're indirect costs, so they're budgeted in the general fund. And then we take money out of the enterprise funds every year and transfer it into the general fund. We've done it every year, but we did increase based on the numbers I came up with. And
So to fund this $80,000, we could transfer some money from the fire enterprise fund.
well, we're already transferring more than the number there. We just didn't change the number. I'm trying to add it up now.
So 65.5.
So 60,000 floating around there.
I just quickly, based on the
Additional?
numbers that are on here, minus what I had in there, 65.5. So you'd be, we're just saying 20,000 would then come from another.
Did you include landfill? Because I'm not,
I did, but you don't want to put
well,
anything
we
in there.
can't transfer it if we don't have a reason to. DOR will only let you transfer it if I come up with it on the sheet.
Right, but, I mean, there should be something, but if you don't want to charge something.
Yeah, okay, we'll keep it then.
I mean, you don't have to put all of it, but, I mean, because obviously we don't have employees in there now, but
No, we'll keep it.
there are,
We just won't transfer it if I can't.
All right, I've sort of lost track
I know.
of what's going on between you two.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to come up with the number. I was saying, I'm not sure that I can justify the transfer from landfill. Based on where we are with the landfill, I would have to see on my schedule, could I justify charging them the same items that
How did we get to landfill from the,
we're adding up all the enterprise funds.
oh, I see, okay.
Ambulance, all the
There's something
enterprise.
else going on besides what we're doing.
Right,
Oh,
this,
all right.
because this line item transfers
It's from all of them.
is gonna change, go up, so then we'll have more money to work with.
Oh, all right.
So this 85K that we're adding to the budget, some of it could be covered there.
Okay, well, while they're wrapping up,
so,
Okay, so that number will increase, as Michael just said. I just wanted to pull it quick. The transfers from enterprise funds will be 65,500 more
Okay,
than it is now.
okay.
So if you wanted to add a position at 80-something,
85.
you'd only have to cover the
20.
difference.
Okay. And Mike, can I leave it at your discretion where to add the remaining 20?
okay, sure.
Just, in our whatever
Yep, no, that'd be great.
line items that you want to add the 20 to for income?
Yep,
So you want to add an inspector at what total?
85. Okay. Do you want us to still vote the budget tonight, or do you want us to wait for because now we can vote it on Thursday?
oh, okay.
They will have quorum.
Oh, okay.
They'll have the same four of you will be
You
there.
can come Thursday. What time was it posted for? 6?
6.
Yeah,
Oh, that's the-
yeah.
I don't know that I posted a meeting after, but they can vote it. I posted public hearing.
Yeah, as long as
That's
that's
fine.
a posted public meeting, then they can vote. They can
Okay.
vote on that,
Okay,
So Thursday at 6?
yeah.
yeah. So then what we could do is I could work with the town accountant and come up with, we can finalize the enterprise charges number to see what we want to use, and then the balance we can take out of another area to make up the 85.
So what would our deficit right now?
0.
0?
But 85,
Geez, I'm glad I left. I'm gonna leave again, right?
we're gonna vote the final budget at the public hearing on Thursday.
Oh, we
So
got
that-
enough people?
Yeah, because
Okay,
Paul's trip got canceled.
yeah. Good. All right, can you just all gotta make sure we're here?
Phone call away.
I'll be here. My son has a baseball game at 7:30, but I don't even think they're gonna play it. And it's not till 7:30.
He'll be done by then. I
Yeah.
won't be here, but just somebody
Yeah, I'll be here.
remind everybody to make sure you have quorum.
Yes.
Send an email, maybe.
Oh,
And you're gonna be here, Mike, so you can
Yeah.
bring us an updated
Yeah.
copy. Sorry for the paper waste.
Absolutely.
What if
It's
somebody
great. No, it's good,
forgets?
then you'll have it to look it over in the next couple of days if there are any other.
I mean, not that I wanna be pessimistic, don't you think maybe we should be on the safe side, vote a budget tonight, and then,
I'll do that if we can.
I mean, what if somebody drops dead?
Hey,
God
I mean,
forbid.
could we make a motion to preliminarily vote this budget? No, with the added position and,
Right, because I think you don't need to vote the revenue, it's really just the budget. So if you say we're gonna
Okay.
vote the budget by adding that 85,000 into it,
okay,
and then on Thursday, you know, with the direction to give
Yeah.
town administrator, town accountant to finalize the revenue
Yeah.
numbers, then we'll have the actual document on Thursday.
Okay.
But then that would be a legal vote as to accepting that budget recommendation. Because you don't recommend revenues to the town meeting, you just recommend expenditures.
okay.
Right.
All right. So can I make a motion? I never know if I can.
Generally, the
Okay,
chair
I
would
won't.
have to step down and
Just
make a
saying,
motion.
I'm not gonna do that. So can someone
You
make a
could, but you'd
motion
have
to
to give the
accept the
chair
budget
something else
with an added $85,000 for?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the budget as presented this evening with the addition of $85,000 for a fire prevention officer. Or something of that nature, whatever.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
So we don't have to show up?
No, we do have to show.
It would be nice if you still showed up.
Okay.
Did all of you say aye?
We all said aye.
Aye.
I didn't say it, but I just said it.
Mumbled under his breath.
Don't worry, if I was against it, I would have said so.
I know.
All right, cool. Thank you
Wonderful.
all.
Now we can drop dead.
So
As I'm
I,
dropping to the ground, I could be at
All
least.
right, motion to adjourn so I can.
just 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
I
Motion we
posted,
adjourn?
I posted for you to meet Thursday at 6.
Yeah,
And I posted for you to meet half an hour before town meeting,
yeah,
because I won't be back until town meeting.
Okay.
okay.
So a half an hour before the town meeting also.
We always meet a half an hour before. ten.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I'll have to.
All right, I make a motion, we adjourn.
In the water.
You've been.
Can you second that?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
What time is it, please?
5:09.
Thank you.